Welcome everyone to Foundation, and welcome to a video in which we are going to go from 0 to 100 inhabitants. This is a mixture of real-time parts and some speed builds. However, the speed build is only 3 times X, so I got the chance to talk you through what I'm actually doing while not being too super focused on building, which sometimes leads to a bit of a weird commentary if I'm distracted by everything. So here's me focused in the voiceover to get the thing started. Foundation is obviously a game that has been around for a while. I've played the alpha, beta, blah, blah for many times, but honestly, I've been out of the process for almost 2 years now since I played the last time. And so I was a bit rusty and started off with the tutorial, which I highly suggest if you have not played this game, or if you have played that in the past, make sure to do the tutorial, because this game does a couple things a little different than most of the games in this genre. But however, let's start first things first. This is obviously a typical city builder, medieval city builder game where you need the typical things. You need to gather resources, you need to fulfill the needs of your inhabitants, you make your home a bit more desirable so more inhabitants join your village, because you will need more workforce over the time. And equally great to what Manor brought to the table with a very cool kind of building style for the lots. This game also has a very unique one you can see on screen right now. The green areas are the locations where people are allowed to build their houses, and guess what? They're building these houses completely free from your control. You will be able, though, later on to move them and make a bit more beautification, but more about this when we're getting there, which has a huge impact on the way this whole thing looks. It's gonna look so much more organic. Also, one thing I want to highlight right at the beginning, this game has 0 to none hitboxes, meaning you can push things into each other just like you like. The only thing you need to take care of is to have the entry points for buildings open. Every building you put down will give you a hint to where the entry points are. So when you place down a building, there will be some tiny little white arrows to the side. As you can see over here on the left hand side, there was the entrance. You have to make sure that this one is right. Alright, so that stuff aside, let's focus on the building of our foundation. So we have started with basically getting the main stuff together, wood and some stone and some berries, to have the main things in. The more you go, the more inhabitants you will need, the more housing you will need. The needs of your society are very easy at the beginning because they're basically the exact same as in many other games. You will need to have water, food, and a house to keep them warm and safe. That's about it. So the cool bit is that whilst you have it, you need to ensure that over the time there are obviously more and more needs fulfilled. There is, for example, a definition of food and refined food, while you just have berries and stuff, which is just right off the bush, so to say. You will have some refined food later on, which counts for meat, for example, that you gather from boars that are living in the forest, or, for example, bread that you have obviously created from harvesting your crops and so on. So the more processed steps are taken in, then it's considered as refined food, while you have the normal food to just keep them sane, I should say. And as in many other games, you have a marketplace mechanic, as you can see in store here. Basically, you put them down, and your villagers will go here and get their food. You will then have to define which building is for which. And in contrast to Manor Lords, for example, or other games, you neither have a full marketplace as a building where everything is sold, or you don't have an area to define and then market stalls are being created themselves. Nope. In this game, you actually put them down and you actually put some resources on it by defining which resources you want to, which I think is a beautiful mechanic, because that will give you more and more control over the marketplace, how you basically done it. I was a bit confused, by the way, where to put the canopy. I don't know, it didn't connect at the beginning until I found this little connection point here, but never mind me. So that's the most important steps at the beginning, and you'll be there rather quickly, to be honest. You'll set up your building, you'll set up some market stalls, you've got a well, and relatively soon your city center is going to shape up. However, there are a couple of other things to take into consideration. This game also has an influence on areas. That means if you have some very loud and stinky buildings, they will have a negative impact on the desirability of your town. So early on, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, because you will build just a couple of houses. To the left hand side, you can see the stonemason and some of the forester workers and stuff. They have a negative impact, but they're quite a bit of your building, so that's all good. And here you can see it, by the way, in action. This is the brown outline is going to suggest you where the negative influence is. Later into the game, you'll see that in today's video, you will have access to beautification. The beautification, however, is going to do the exact opposite. It's going to make your area more desirable by putting more nice things in. So you can also counterweight all that stuff. However, over time, that means you will be in a position where you have to, well, really manage your different needs of your people by putting down. I also love the fact that beautification is an active part of building, but more about that later because I want to specifically focus on that when you have it on screen. So that's mostly it about the beginning of foundation. And in my specific case over here, I wanted to make sure that we start our path, and this is another story about this game, but again, not very unseen. If you've played games in this genre, you will know about that. There is a progress tree in here. You will unlock things over time, and you can unlock basically everything. This is a bit of a difference against some other games that have focused territories, so to say. Territories, by the way, we're going to speak about that as soon as we need it as well. There are territories in this game, but you can easily just purchase them with money. You don't necessarily need influence or anything. So over time, when you gather more coins from your inhabitants, taxes and stuff, basically is something to talk about later, have the same influence, and then once you have enough money, you'll be able to purchase another territory. So other than that, it is in this game that you do not have a focused territory that is only on building, for example, crops and so on. You can go down the path however you like, and as long as you have all influences together, I'm going to speak about the influences in the next part of the voiceover, then you'll be able to basically purchase every update. With the updates, there comes also updates for your buildings and updates for mainly all of your building types. That means you can upgrade your forester, you can upgrade your sawmill, you can upgrade your stonemason, which is super cool because that doesn't mean you are just spamming a bajillion of these buildings, but you can actually make the one building you have dedicated in an area to become certain thing. You have basically the chance to make it super efficient and the only place to go, which again also holds a big benefit of not having too many negative impacts on your other regions. You can see putting down some fisher huts over here and already taking benefit of the cool system where you can put things very close to each other, even merging the two lots into each other. Very nice stuff. The rest, you can see there is a warehouse and a granary I put down over here. Functions, again, mostly as in most games. The storehouse is for all non-eligible, or like, how's it called, poisonable, I forgot the word, you know, those things that can be negatively impacted by spoiling and stuff, and organic stuff is going to be going into the granary, while all the hard materials and raw materials like resources and stuff will go into the storehouse. Both need workers, the workers carry goods around, you know the drill. So, right. As I've talked enough about this now, I would say I'm going to give you a bit of an access to some cozy medieval music now, while I'm going to make a little break in talking and let you enjoy the wonderful little movement of our villagers that just have a good time while updating. And I'll be back a bit later. I guess in about like 5-ish minutes I'll be done and back in here. Looking at the finances, I thought it's a good moment to come back. Now, as you've seen over the time, we have unlocked a couple of things. Let's start with the most obvious, to the top right of the main menu. You can see there are 4 different types of influence. We've got the normal prestige, which is all around your city and the city development. Then we've got the, I think it's called splendor, or like the labor force. Then we've got the, I forgot how that, I don't know the exact words for that, but the orange one is then for basically everything around your castle and your fortification, and the last one is for the church. And these 4 have a specific role because you can gain influence in all of these 4 categories. The normal prestige you gain with just building and developing your wonderful village. However, the other ones require certain building types to work with, like obviously a castle for the castle, a manor for the labor stuff, and a church for obviously the church. Now, it makes a lot of sense that those buildings typically then have the influence, but against some other, like in contrast to some other games, this game uses beautification as well to gain influence on these, which I think is so beautiful. Like, it's also not because of the word, but no, it's so good. There are actually beautification elements from all of these 4 different types, which will give you access to various types of beautification, just like trees and bushes, but also like benches, picnic tables, houses even. And you can build actual houses as beautification to put them exactly where you want this. This is what I meant earlier. You gain some control over the style of your village later on if you have unlocked this. I love this so much because it'll give you this type of beautification desire later on in the game when you have already utilized the beauty of the game mechanic, and then utilizing beautification in order to make your houses eligible to upgrade is beyond me. I didn't know about the system. I think that's something they have introduced later on, which is so good. I love this wonderful integration. It's just so much fun. It's so much different to other games. You don't have to, I don't know, put down many buildings. You can just take one building, as we build it over here, let's talk about the manor. And you can just beautify the manor as much as you want and like, and then you gain influence that you can then spend on your development tree, because that's exactly what you need. While the prestige tree requires money, the other trees, the development trees, require influence on this various on this specific area. I think it's a kingdom, what the other one was. You saw that briefly on the screen. In case you want to have the exact words, just make sure to pause the game when there is the overview, because I rather often click on the development tree in this build. So taking this into consideration, I love the way how you upgrade all your stuff by having beautification put down and then have your buildings basically become better by being nicer. It's so cool. I've not really estimated that or expected this to be a thing, and I'm just so in awe. And also the fact that you can upgrade most of the buildings with having more storage space and just giving the storage itself more meaning is so good. Speaking about storage, it's gonna play a center role in your game. If you want to build an efficient area, you definitely have to put your storage and granary buildings in good spaces. I gotta admit, I did not do it as of now, but that was, I don't want to say fully intentional, but I took it into consideration that they may not be in the best places, because I want to branch out a little bit different later on with the build. I'm going to talk about that at the end in the real-time part. For me personally, it was super important to have a good starting point and have a good economy setup that is very strong in terms of food. That's my main point in all of these builder games. First of all, have a good focus on food. That is the most important thing. By the way, taxes, you can apply taxes to your buildings as soon as you have built the tax office within the manor build. You will be able to gain taxes, which you will do, and you will need to do, and you will go higher up at the beginning as well to gain some more coins, because you're gonna need the coins to spend them on your prestige development tree, because you will have to unlock certain things. But trading is a good thing about this. Trading in this game works very simple. Once you get the hang of it, it is super simple. You basically just go to your resources and set the resource you want to sell to basically allow sell, and then you just set the value above or beyond. There you go. This is what we do over here. You just set the value of the good that you want to have, and then you either say buy or sell, and you can't buy or sell everything, unlike in other games where you just need to set a route. In here, you need to buy certain trade routes with other regions first, and you cannot buy them all with money. You will also have to buy them with certain goods. So the overall tech tree in this game is also supported by the way you need to work towards a certain goal. So you can't just spam everything with money. It's very hard to, well, I'm not saying it's very hard, because you will find the people again abusing some of the exploits in this game, but it's not as easy. It's not like if you have enough money, you can basically buy everything, or if you have enough food, you can make everything with your workforce. No, you really have to focus on ensuring that you have a very solid way of building forward. So at some point you need to go into producing cloths, at some point you need to go into brewing some stuff, at some point you need to go to make sure that you do XYZ in order to achieve something more meaningful in the future, by having the certain goods available to unlock a certain trade route, because you do see that you need a certain trade route to get a specific good that will bring you further into another way. So this game also is its own tutorial in itself, if you will, which sees the very beauty of a long-term early access. You can really see how they develop that together with the feedback of the community. I'm very pleased to play the game, honestly. It's super good. I'm a bit late to the party, not gonna lie, but you know, I'd got a very heavy last week. My son was sick, yet now it's my daughter being very sick with high fever, and just trying to kind of juggle these things, not easy these days. And also work was a lot, so just didn't find that much time to do other stuff as well. So yeah, but that should be it. There's a tech tree, by the way, and also you can see it's labor, kingdom, and clergy. That's what you have over here, the different path, by the way, for the specific wordings. And yeah, it's time to let you alone with some music again before we then jump into a little real-time part in about, what is it, 8-ish minutes, for those of you who want to do some skippity skips. Alright, and as promised, we are here in a little real-time part. Over almost 2 hours, I've been able to produce what you're just seeing on screen. And I'm kind of happy, to be honest. I've been out of this project, or like out of the game, for a longer time, and I'm still quite happy with how it works. So, just to give you a bit of a brief overview where we are at right now, we are making, well, kind of decent money by the traders. We have not the biggest of happiness because I did change the taxes back to a bit of a better value just for the moment being, because at the moment we are going to go into making sure we have a bit of an more structured economy in front of us to then branch out. I need to set up making money a bit better, because at the moment we do own these two territories, and I do want to branch out relatively soon into this one over here. That's going to give us access to a bit of iron over here, and I think in the next one over here, the left one, is also iron, but the space in that one is less than here. So I want to go into this one, and then relatively soon we need to branch out to that one to have more space. But that's definitely the region I'm looking forward to make the main city work. So you can see our basically monthly report. Very nice timing to have it in here. So you can see at the moment we have quite a good amount of taxes, 170. I did lower it down as said, but we do have an upkeep. Where's the upkeep? Wait, hold on. The upkeep of 51. So it's kind of okay. We even surpassed that by trading. So we make a bit of money, but also building obviously is keeping us busy. I haven't built that much in this month, though. That's why it was a bit better. But you can see we are running into loads of issues here from villagers having, whoops, let's actually go out of this one, of having the problem of full storages, so to say. I can't promote all these, not been leased, or can't be paid. Yeah, well, we can't promote them yet. This is something I'm going to look in relatively soon. Yes, you can live in here if you want to. So definitely want to make sure that they have the right to grow up soon. That's definitely the next step we're going to get to. We definitely need to make sure that they all grow up and go into bigger, higher stakes, also to pay more taxes, which eventually will lead to more money. So that's the next target. We have mostly built everything. The last bit I've set up is our meat production to meet our demand of refined food. So you can see at the moment we have that. There's one more person. We can actually just employ that one to the butcher. And what we got to do is we have to fill in a granary. Actually, I do have a meat spot in here, which is nice. And what I do have to do is to put down some market stalls over here that actually sell our additional goods. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly do this here in the real time. Why wouldn't I? Is basically plopping down a couple more market spaces. So I'm just going to plop this one in. 25. Yeah, you know what? Just going to do this. And then we're going to have like another market space that's going to go from this side. Why not? And these ones are relatively expensive. 25, but they also need some clothes. We don't have that many clothes. You know what? I'm just going to build this one first, and then we're going to employ people as soon as they're there, because our happiness isn't on the highest level. So you can see there's some fish, there's some berries, there's some berries, there's some fish, but we need to sell some meat relatively soon too to make our villagers more happy, and then eventually grow into the next layer. Also, what I need to do is to make our pasture area a bit nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint that over here. So that should be good. They can still run through here. That's fine. It's still too small, though. We definitely need to branch out a little more. There's also no... Oh, actually, you know what? I just could try to... First of all, this is the extraction zone. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this differently. I'm just gonna say no wood cutting in here. And also, I have to click on the forester. Where's the forester? Is that the forester? No, is that the forester? Yes, there's the paint the reforestation. So we're gonna not put any more reforestation in here. And we are going to instead go back to this one, and we're gonna paint more pasture space in here. Let's see, this is meeting the demand. Fine. Okay, see, that's awesome. And then we're gonna make sure that we edit this wall, and just gonna get rid of this bit a little, and just gonna draw that over here. Yeah, whatever, apply changes just to keep that open. I'm gonna make this look nicer later on. I don't care about this too much as of now. But yeah, so I set the targets, and now it's time to actually move on. You can see there are no workers assigned. rustic church. Okay, we need to have more employees, or actually villagers first of all, and then bring them in, which is going to be our next target. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to focus on. I will still try to keep my camera somewhat stable, so it's not going to be too offsetting if I'm going to have the speed build enabled. But you'll meet me again in the voiceover, so let's jump back into the time lapse. And also, now let's talk about one of the best features of this game. And this is basically the way how you make your buildings able to be upgraded. Now, there are two things you need to do. First, you need to promote your people, because if they are not promoted from serfs to commoners, for example, then they won't be able to upgrade. However, you also need to give them access to beautification. As you can see over here, I'm going to place down some wonderful stylish trees and some planters. And as we are placing them down, and you can see the green area of influence, you're going to make this area nicer looking. And if a house reaches a certain level and a commoner is living over there, they will then start upgrading their houses. And they will also, utilize some tools and so on. So it makes sense that at the end of the build, we will be able to produce our tools ourselves, because at the moment, it's kind of okay. We can buy them every now and then, but later on, you'll need a lot of tools. So this level of improvement over here is also not going to be for long. I had a lot of, I had a very big ambition to go in very fast and big, but I couldn't hold down to this because at some point my stock on wild boars was going down, so I couldn't give them access to refined food, and that is one of the most important things to keep them in the second level. They will be able, obviously, to upgrade one more, but you will be able to only update them if they have reached a certain level, and obviously if they have access to all the goods they require, as said at the beginning of the video, the typical stuff like water goods, clothing, blah blah blah, I think I don't need to go too much into detail. And at some point I was like, hey, I need more money in order to buy a lot of things, but to be able to have more money, I was able to, I need a treasury to have a bit of more capacity for trade and so on. And then at some point I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to raise the taxes for a moment being, but then I was like, no, I need more population first. And as I was going for 100 people, I was like, okay, let's keep growing for a moment, and then later on go in and try to get the money. So at the end of the video, we will be in a position where we are gaining a lot of money, and we are still gaining a lot of people, because my setup was kind of good. It just worked out the way I was looking for it, and still having made sure that we have so much food, for example fish and so on, just to make sure that we don't go into the complete bankruptcy in terms of resources. And refined food will be solved also rather soon in the next episode, because we will then go high into the production of bread. That's something I kept for a later stage, simply because I didn't have the space, and as we have purchased a couple more territories at the end of the video, we will be able to. But at this point you can see a lot of micromanagement. I was really trying to optimize my workflow. I was going, and since I wanted to go to 100 people relatively fast, I obviously opted for more people carrying more goods versus lesser people and a better structure. It's kind of the cheap way to do it, because honestly, it would have been more clever if my structure would have been a little bit more focused on logistics. So what I mean by that is, and this is relatively important to understand for these types of games, you can either solve your problems by having a lot of people carrying goods, so meaning you have upgraded all of your storages and granaries with the upgrade to have more people work in it, because that's also a beauty of this game. Once you've unlocked the update for storage houses, you can't only update the storage house itself, but later stage you can also have more people working there. Having more people carry your goods is always helpful, because they will be able to bring it from A to B. And so, yeah, the more people you have, the lesser important the distance is. It's not said that the distance isn't important, because you can't solve that later on. But for the early stages, if you have enough people, you can make them walk. It doesn't matter if your storage house is like 100% perfect. It's okay if it's 70% perfect, if that makes sense. So that was my, point here. And this is why I was putting these things in certain areas over others. Here you can see I was then at some point putting the taxes a little bit higher, because I just did need the money to fulfill one of the tasks. Oh, I should have just talked about these tasks to the bottom left. Once you're through the tutorial, and once you've done most of these things, the game will ask you if you want to have additional tasks. And these tasks will either give you more influence, either give you a better trade route, or it will give you money per se, or will give you improvement in the happiness of your people. It's a bit similar to the ones in Anno, for example, where you have these side quests that give you special pieces or upgrades for your ships and so on. In this game, it kind of works a similar way, and basically also the task is the same. You know, you need to either deliver some goods or you need to fulfill a certain requirement, like build ABC and have ABC people working in there and produce ABC goods by the end of month X. So, like the typical stuff. But the way it's implemented, I really like it because it also, what I said earlier, it fulfills the need to define how the game works. So all these tasks are also pushing you slightly in the right direction, even if you missed out focus. A couple of things that haven't been included here because I just forgot to record. So about half an hour was, you know, gone between the real-time part and this speed build over here. What I did, I unlocked a couple more of the trade routes. So if you see that on screen a couple more often, that some other trading people come in, this is because I have unlocked the other, I think 3 more routes I have unlocked with either influence or with one is also unlocked with clothing. So that was done. And then I was also doing some entertaining over here, so you can see the public lounge is one of the things, and in a bit we will also build a brewery that is going to be then eligible to produce some berry brew, and the berry brew is also something you can sell very nicely. This is why I will go a bit bigger on that one. We have quite some berries in this region, so I'm gonna opt for this as well, and making sure that we have some berry brew because we can also sell that nicely. And later on I'm gonna go into beer, which will be the more you know, helpful thing in terms of making the entertainment value go high. So it's as it is in real life, okay? You have beer, you have happy people. I guess that's what life is about, right? I'm just kidding. I'm a German, and Germany is the capital of beer. The problem is that even the capital of beer has a very crazily shrinking market. Beer, in general, has lost its peak. Beer is not as powerful as it was, but we are looking at the medieval time where beer was amazing. Jokes aside, it's really like Germany has lost over 15% of its beer market in the last 10 years. It's shrinking dramatically, actually, but well, that's that. You can see also one of the tasks failed because I forgot to click confirm. That was the most stupid. Some of the tasks are super simple. You basically have a task and then they ask you, can you deliver X, Y, Z? And then you just double check, do you have the resources? Yes, but you have to click on confirm in the left window. That's the only thing I find so odd. It's like you accept the task and then the task says, yes, you have 100 cloth, and you need to click confirm in the in the little box to the bottom left. And I was like, oh wait, I just forgot. I could have easily clicked on that and would have gotten so much money for that, but hey, that was just maybe also my stupidity. It's easy to blame the game, but yeah. So last but not least, as promised, we were going into setting up our tool production. And this is why I'm gonna leave you in a bit again with the music, because there will be a bit of work in, bit of gaining resources, bit of nicely detailing things. Really nothing more to say, just for you to see how we are going to reach this wonderful level of 100 people by the end of the video. I'll be back for a couple of seconds before we jump into the real-time part. So until then, I wish you a good time with these wonderful moving little fellas over here, making our village look so much more nice and cozy. So talk to you later. All right, last but not least, you can see me looking for the right territory to claim for what is up in the future. I will be going for a wonderful setup of a big production of bread, which means a lot of fields to be harvested and all these kind of things. That'll happen relatively soon as well. I gotta admit that I was not expecting to go that far. At some point, I had reached the level of confidence and also on foundation, I should say. All the way is like, this game needs a strong foundation, and when you have a strong foundation, you can branch out relatively easy. And at this point, I feel like I have this strong position to go on in the next episode. You'll see that in the real-time part in a couple of seconds, that I'm really confident to say so, because a lot of things work pretty fine. I have to keep a bit of a side eye to the food production, because I've been very generously easy about it because of all the berries and stuff being super, super high. But now we are slowly starting to decline on those things. But there is, you know, there's so much potential left. We can build so much more fisher huts. We can build so much more other things. But you can see a little marketplace taking shape. This is where we branch out in the next episode. I can't wait. Honestly, I'm sitting here like I want to play right away because it's so much fun. But yeah, you'll see how it is in the real-time part in a second, so I'm handing you over now to the RRR, the real-time Rudy. Enjoy! Right, that shall be it for the first episode. We end off with a population of over 100, just to show you real quick. There you go, 101, while the next trader is coming in. And we are basically set for the next steps. I just purchased, as a very last step, some territories over here. We've got a huge space available now to branch out the city massively, which I'm gonna do. The plan is for the next episode, and basically, I'm not sure if that's gonna be the last episode already, but I wanna do as much as I did in one episode again. I just found that very, very fun. And the next step is to really migrate the whole city a little bit more northwards, so that this center over here is becoming our actual city center. I want to make this a lot more strategically planned. I want to make sure that everything in here is aligned with my idea of having a circular town, moving the church in the center, a big manor in the center, our marketplace in the center, stuff like that. And then we will have a bit of an industrial region going towards the harbor section over here, so that these areas over here can be turned into some, I don't know, crop fields or so. That's the main idea. So at the moment, it's all about gathering money, gathering resources, to be able to branch out. So the next step is going to be definitely to make a bit of a market hub over here. I already started making one in that little section, so that there is a bit more of a higher desirability going into this region. We have set up our production of tools now, which is very good, so we are not dependent on purchasing them anymore, which will make us a bit more cost efficient or money efficient. I don't know how to say that. And as soon as I have a little bit of a stock, which is good now, 17 is the stock, at this point I'll be able to, you know, not buy anymore. So if you go to trade, for example, resources, there you go. At the moment, I had the trade activated on 30. You know what? I'm just going to go down on, let's say 10. Like if we have less than 10, they can still buy. But like this is good now, so we don't buy them and can finally make some good money. I also allowed them to chop down these trees, and yeah, these things are going on. I really am super happy with the first episode. I think this game, very good that I've been out for such a long time, because this game is really, really damn good. I just love how it has evolved over the time. I love a lot of mechanics, but I talked about that a lot in the speed build already, so no need to talk even more about this, what I've already said many, many times. Yeah, I'm beyond happy this game found its way here, and yeah, I just can't wait for the next episode. Hopefully you enjoyed the style of the video, the, you know, kind of split between real-time parts and speed builds. I just think there's no need to split that into various episodes, because like you want to see progress, I want to have progress, so that's a match, you know. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I did, certainly. So I talk to you in the next one, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and just have a wonderful week. Thank you so much, and goodbye.